You're listening to Number One Property Group, interviews with Phil Pelucha. Hello and welcome to Number One Property Group. I'm Phil Pelucha. Joining me today, I'm looking forward to this podcast, gents, gotta be honest, is Bryan Mansell and Graham Lock. Welcome. How you doing, gents?
Great.
Hello.
Right, I am looking forward to this. Bryan pitched this idea to me about 2 weeks ago, and I've been rubbing my hands in excitement since. So hopefully it's not a massive anti-climb. What? Say again? What have I been rubbing? Yeah, see, I'm really passionate about property. Look, I've been keen, so hopefully it's not an anti-climax, because I've been really keen to discuss this. So I know you've got some quite juicy topics of discussion today, mate. We're talking about fees, we're talking about commission, we're talking about pet peeves in the industry. Maybe we should just call this episode "What Grinds My Gears."
That's not a bad shout. Yeah, that's it.
So
that's a good idea.
So come on, Bryan. What grinds your gears?
Yeah. But listen, boys, I want your opinions on a topic that I still, with all the thousands of people that I deal with over the last few years and beyond that, all the people I've worked with over the years, one question I have that still cannot get a definitive answer is type of commission works best, personal or office? Let's discuss. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I haven't heard office commission for quite a long time, actually.
It still exists.
Yeah, still out there.
Yeah, it's still there.
Bryan, was it in your Foxton days? What was the split there between those?
Well, yeah, good point. So Foxton's was very much personal. It was all personal commission. So
right,
basically the original structure, which has changed now. When I was there, was 10, what was called 10 and 10. So you got 10 grand basic and 10% commission. And we were dealing with an average house price back in the day of around about 500 grand. And this is about 15 years ago now. So that's more likely 600-700 now. So it's quite a lot of chunky commission there to be had for individuals. But of course, the culture that it creates, and this is, I think, the key talking point, was one of basically, slaughter each other. Because there's such a lot of money, riding on it, because the basics were so low. And I know that Foxton's changed that to improve the basics considerably and give people a choice. But there are still agents out there that still pay team commission, as well as agents that charge personal commission. And as I said earlier on, I'm just yet to establish which is the better environment, if you're a decent agent, to work in.
I don't particularly like the office commission. I think a lot of the times you can end up obviously carrying people, and that creates as much resentment as it does sort of kill and eat, like Foxton's did, like you said, Bryan. I think if you've got a really strong team and you're all on your A game, then I think office commission can work. But as soon as you start carrying someone, I think it causes a problem. And I think the way agencies going, it's just a personal opinion, of course, is that it is a very personal thing now. I think agents are not like they used to, but they are now starting to build their own personal brand away from the office, which I think is absolutely fantastic. I mean, you see some of these digital mayors on LinkedIn. They call themselves a digital mayor first and an estate agent second. These guys and girls are out there building their own brand. And that's the difference now, I think. But I've noticed a shift in that recently. I don't know about you guys, but I'm seeing that a lot more now.
Massively, yeah. And I love that. And I think a lot of that comes from like the school of kind of like Gary Vaynerchuk and people like that who say you're a media company first and a whatever sector you work in second. Because, ultimately, if you're an expert at what you do or even good at what you do, you have a wealth of knowledge that other people in the industry would love to hear about, that your customers would love to hear about. So by kind of utilizing your own personal brand, I think it's people by people. The Entrepreneurial Revolution, Dan Priestley, great book for anyone that's not read it, touches on this exact thing. It talks about the fact that the idea of moving to the big city to go and work in an office 10 hours a day and all that kind of stuff, and working under the brand, and that's your brand, and you're there for 20 years, and you represent the brand. I think those days are gone, or at least going.
I mean, absolutely.
People want to buy from niche specialists that they know can handle that bit of a transaction. The whole one-stop shop stuff, people don't really like anymore. They'd rather an expert of one than a jack of all trades.
But that's also people just don't trust companies anymore. They trust people rather than companies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Back when I was in the city as a broker, our client list was everything. So if we moved broker houses, they'd pay you more the more people you had on your list, sort of thing, rather than who you're going to work for, you as a skilled person in that organisation. And I think agencies are saying, when I worked in a high street, which is going back to 2002, when I was office manager, if I employed someone, very rarely back then would they come with any kind of book of vendors or contacts or anything. They just go, right, I'm here, what do you want me to do, sort of thing. But I think now, if I was recruited now, I'd be looking for these digital mayors. I'd be going, right, who have you got? Who do you know? What business are you going to bring to me? And guess what? I'm going to pay them more money.
Yeah,
exactly.
But then the question remains, though, doesn't it? So maybe if I restructure the question to which of the two commission schemes, in your opinions, better serve the customer?
Individual,
yeah. I think I tell you what, I detest team commissions anyway. So I've kind of tried to think. I've been sat here thinking of like a nice way to word it, but I can't think of.
Be honest about it, Phil.
Okay, so I really hate them, and I hate them for several reasons. Okay, I hate them because they're difficult to manage, and you can imagine this from a training perspective, and Graham, you've obviously from a management perspective as well, for having both of you having been there and done that. It's much easier to identify skill gaps, training opportunities, when someone needs you to put an arm around them, when they're individually targeted, because the stats speak for themselves. You can see when someone's having a bit of a dip. Is this just it's not reflected in the market because everybody else isn't having this? Does this person need a bit of support? Do they need a bit of help? Have they changed their pitch and it's not working? What is it, And it's much easier to identify those opportunities when it's not a team target and team commission. So there's my first point. The second thing is I don't think it attracts A grade or even B grade players. I think you're going to get C grade players at best. Because, Graham, you just hit the nail on the head. There's a massive resentment because what you often find in that environment, I mean, you said if everybody was on the same level, it would work fine. And you're right. But how many companies have everybody performing at the same level? All you end up with is resentment within the office from the top performer who is getting paid the same level of commission as everybody else, but is dragging everybody else along with them, kicking and screaming, just so they can get some money. And it's not going to take long before they look at competitors in the industry and realize I could do this job somewhere else on an individual target and earn far more than I'm earning right now.
So I'm going to disagree with the pair of you on this, okay? And I'm going to tell you why. In my belief, one of the first and most important things when you're dealing with, and I'm only talking about estate agents here, but I'm assuming that this is the same in most industries, is productivity comes from the right environment before it comes from the right individuals. Yeah. So if you have a cult, and this is one of the things that really came home to me at Foxtons that I tried to emulate elsewhere. And Phil, I totally get your point about A-class people, but I also agree though that comes down to also the culture that's been created.
Oh, massively, because you won't even attract them in the first place if you're not.
If you've got somebody, a digital mayor or whatever the word is, somebody of influence, someone that's actually got a good track record, that's also a bit of a human, is going to help you and not just manage you on figures, then you can the right environment that are people in a team that are all rewarded for the work each other does, can actually foster a really healthy environment, which breeds productivity, knowing that you can see the people around you putting in the effort that you're putting in, and they will cover you if you're off. If you're away on holiday, and they will be there helping you and supporting you, people doing each other's viewings with no hidden agendas. I have seen that environment working very well, as good as the hungry, dog eat dog sort of, and those days aren't quite the same anymore. But, I saw people sell a house or get a buyer on a property, and then other negotiators deliberately ringing out on that property, trying to sell up the other neg's deal and being happy. Then that was the culture, and it was wrong. I think it was. I believe that if you are going to create a culture of helping customers, then have people around you that are not going to try and kill each other over not a few quid, over a deal.
I
believe that the team commission can work if it's in the right environment, and the environment has to be created by the culture of the owner. The reasons why they're in business, but also the people they pick to lead the team have got to be the right people. That's my view.
Maybe the answer is a combination of the both.
I was going to say, is there a blend? Is there a blend there? Exactly.
Like an individual commission structure that rewards you for the work that you're doing, but then a team overall structure that if you all achieve that, you all take an additional slice of a pot home as well. Because then what you've got there is you do have the accountability and the drive and the ability to let people earn whatever they want to earn based off their own efforts. But you've also got an environment in the office and a culture that says, listen, if you're going to be off, mate, I'll help you because I don't want you dropping behind because I quite fancy that extra 500 quid or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah, I guess that's a good a good place to be, actually, having some sort of bonus pot quarterly. It's what we did, actually. You have a bonus pot on a quarterly basis that is paid out to the team if all the team hit the objectives of the business. So therefore, the word you use, which I think is dead right, is accountability. You are creating a level of accountability that everyone's got to not work for themselves to a certain degree, but obviously if they just work for themselves and don't encourage and nurture others, they then stand to have a financial loss because there's no bonus to be paid.
And I think that's where you get the go on, Graham.
Sorry, Phil. Just going back to the one or the other as well. I think if you've got a top performer who's sitting there and he's an A player and the other's a C, at some point he's going to think, I can earn more money elsewhere, getting my own commission. I'm just averaging out for the team here. I'm much better than this, and I think that business owner is in danger of losing their star player.
I agree with you, but do you not think, Graham, that is also to do with poor management? Because obviously those figures will be clear to the person that's running the team, the owner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Act on that is going to, and you are absolutely right. You lose your best people, not the worst people. They sit tight. They don't go anywhere.
Oh God, they love it. Go. Yeah, they don't want the A players to walk out the door, and they'll all beg them to stay.
Yeah. But the B and C players are the ones that sit there quietly, and the A players are the ones that bugger off because they're getting approached by people left, right, and centre with promises, shiny objects, and actually the worst ones are the ones that you end up getting left with to a certain degree.
And you don't want that friction. You don't want your A player to keep coming to you as an owner or a manager and saying, "What's going on? I'm so much better." It's like putting Ronaldo into I don't know. Let's be kind. Southampton's football team. He's obviously going to be the star man, and all the rest of the team want him to stay. And he's going to constantly go to the manager and say, "What are you doing with the rest of the team here? This is not right for me. This environment's not right for me. I'm not flourishing here."
Yeah. Well, Brian and I are both Liverpool fans, and we literally have spent the last 10 years watching Torres, Gerrard, and Suarez ask that very question.
The same thing.
What are you doing with the rest of the team? And then it didn't work. And I think the accountability thing is massive. And touching on this with the management stuff, hugely. I think a lot of people come to me, in a recruitment capacity, and they'll say, "Oh, can you go and find us a top 10% candidate?" Yeah, I can, but I can't guarantee they're going to want to join your business unless you have a culture that is deserving of a top 10% candidate. And things like commission structure, salary, culture within the office, your ability to embrace change, all these kind of things make a big difference. And
Can I throw one into the room there, Phil? Sorry, one that's on my mind. And I was speaking to someone about this earlier, just it's a bit left field, but working hours. What are your thoughts on traditional 9 to 5 versus get the job done whenever you can do it and whenever it's convenient? And I'm really veering towards this flexi time. I think it's fantastic. And I think it can work in agency where it couldn't before. I think it can now.
I agree. I think it's we're not in the industrial age anymore. We're in the age of entrepreneurship. We're in the age of flexible. The digital age that we're in means that people are communicating with us at crazy times of the day. I mean, I remember seeing a report by Repeat that they did across all their network of the most popular time for people to email the agent, which is like 9 o'clock at night on a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Now, I'm not saying that you should be there at 9 o'clock at night, of course, because probably your client doesn't expect you to be. But I think that this leads me on to another thing, Graham. With flexi time, I think if a business has a more liberal attitude to the working hours, it will attract better people.
Massively.
Because you think about your mums, the brilliant market that's not tapped into are part-time workers that have to do the school run. And we shouldn't make them feel guilty about having children. They should be able to feel comfortable getting in at 9:30, 10 o'clock, and happy to work a bit later if needs be. But I've had the pleasure of working, obviously, as both of you had, in big environments. And I can tell you quite hand on my heart that some of the best people we had were part-timers. Yeah. Because when they were there, my God, they used to work. They wouldn't waste any time. And their productivity was often higher, certainly at a match with the full-timers.
Well, using mums as an example, it's the empathy side of things. That's one thing that we keep saying is lacking in the industry. There's a lack of emotional intelligence and empathy for the vendors and the process, which is why we, as an industry, continue to tell them what we want to tell them about our awards and Rightmove stats rather than answering the questions that they're actually asking. Whereas if you look at working mums, for example, they get it. I mean, how many people are mums? How many people have got kids? How many people are buying or selling a house, have a family associated with that house? One of the first things parents do, I mean, we've done this even amongst us. One of the first things parents do is, I work from home, you guys know that, and often you can hear my kids in the background or something, and it's just like, sorry about that, I'll close the door, that's my little one. And the very next question is, how old are they? And suddenly you're now having a conversation about your kids and what the kids get up to, and, it's a natural way to build rapport. So I think, they're great people to have in the business. Flexi hours for me are such a sensible idea, and I think it's even taking it one step further away from that, which is, the idea behind flexi time is that you know, on the face of it, is that you can work from wherever you want, whenever you want, etc. So as a recruiter, I've made deals from the beach. I've lived in South Africa 4 months of the year, and it's rare that anybody notices because the service remains the same. However, this is where I think you have to be careful with it. Business owners, in my opinion, are afraid of it because it's difficult to manage somebody remotely, or it's difficult to manage somebody when you're not entirely sure on their hours. But I think, again, that comes down to culture, because flexi hours for me make perfect sense because the vast majority of our customers are in work 9 to 5. So what's the point in us being in work at the same time? Because the time that they can call us, we've gone home.
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's also one other point on that, guys, is I think also it comes back to a lot of the things that we're all seeing at the moment. People's, I suppose, inability to change. This is what they've always done. We've always got in at work at 8:30, had a morning meeting at 9:45, and then we've gone home at 6:30.
Yeah.
We work Saturday 9 till 4, and Sundays we might open, if we do, it's 10 till 12. And that's been the way for 30 years, and as long as I've been doing it. But the rest of the world doesn't work like that anymore.
No, it's an on-demand society, and I think if you take WhatsApp for example, probably one of the greatest prop tech inventions of the century.
Yeah,
it's awesome, isn't it?
But no one calls it prop tech. But it's brilliant because you get an instant answer. You get gratification that someone's read your message, so they can't hide from that. Yeah. It's free and everyone's on it. So I'm like, if I was an agent now and I've got sort of decent work ethic about me, I'd have my phone on all the. I don't care when I'm watching Netflix or Sky, because 10 years ago, guess what? I couldn't pause the television.
That's right. Exactly.
Good now, I gladly pause it and let the adverts run and speak to someone for 5 minutes on my phone. So I just think that I absolutely agree. Where agency lets itself down, it doesn't move with the times. And I totally accept that it's an industry that won't be disrupted by prop tech. I tried it myself with the online agency and it didn't work. It's not ready for disruption. But where it will disrupt is it will disrupt itself. And I think there'll be a different culture of agent now coming through this time of low volume transactions, which we're now stuck in a bit of a vicious cycle of that at the moment. I can't see any way back to 1.6, 1.7 million transactions. I don't know about you guys, but I think we're a hell of a long way off of those sort of days. I think the landscape's going to change, and that's where agents have to be really on their game and think, okay, who's going to be brave enough to take 9 to 5 and just throw it out the window?
Yeah. I think once somebody, it's going to be like anything, isn't it, though? Once people embrace flexi working, once people embrace a particular piece of prop tech, once people embrace AI within the property industry, once people embrace content creation and becoming a personal brand, I think there will be a group of people that very quickly make themselves to the top of the tree, and then everybody else will go, that's a great idea, let's do that. And they wait for somebody else to take the first step. And I think that's where the mistake is. So I agree with you. I think we're still a long way off those kind of numbers. I don't know about you guys, but I think we're going to lose more agents before we get to that point. I think there still needs to be a bit of a shake-up in the industry, and I think it's going to disrupt itself is probably a really good way of putting it.
I don't agree. I think we'll lose more agency businesses, but I don't think we'll lose more agents.
Oh no, I think fair enough. I didn't mean agents. I meant as estate agency businesses. I think we're going to lose a lot of businesses because they're so reluctant to change.
But here's one for you that I think covers all of this in a way, on my experience in this wonderful industry of ours, and that is that in my opinion, one of the biggest issues that it keeps the businesses stuck where they've been for so long is their fear of the competition. Yeah. And what I mean by that is we're not coming out the newspaper, even though we know we're chucking money away, because if we do, the other agent will use it against us. We're not coming off right moves. If we do, we'll lose instructions because the other agent will lose it. We're not going to scrap 9 to 5 because if we do, the other agent will use it against us. We're not going to take our ties off because the other agent will use it against us. Yeah, but all the agents are thinking the same thing. So it needs someone to go first, someone to go through the brick wall. And yes, they might get the bloodiest, but they will be the first movers. They will be the ones that could actually profit from it if they get to do it.
Massively.
No, I totally agree. Fortune favours the brave, right?
Absolutely.
Do you know what I was saying to somebody the other day as well? So, in fact, Brian, we were talking about it the other week as well. So, as a trainer, you get told loads of stuff, right? So you will find out loads about what's going on in the business. You'll find out what's worked, what hasn't, marketing campaigns, all of it. Exactly the same for recruiter. Mostly because business owners tell me because they want me to attract the best people to their business, and for me to be able to do that, I need to understand it. And candidates tell me because they're busy trying to impress and tell you that they're the top of the tree and all this kind of stuff. But one of the really interesting things about the industry is, whilst it's incestuous and everybody knows each other, there's a whole secret culture. Like, I don't want my competitors knowing what I'm doing, so I'm not going to talk about it. Or I could create content, but that's just telling my competitors what I'm doing. I'm going to let the cat out the bag now, okay? From those conversations, those secrets that you don't want to tell other estate agents, I probably hear something new once every 6 months.
Yeah.
You're all hiding the same secret.
Yeah.
You know, all the stuff that you think is unique to you, it's not. Everyone's doing the exact same thing. So, as you said, fortune favors the brave. Stop worrying about what other people are thinking, because they're busy worrying about what you're thinking, and nothing's getting done.
Well, you've only got to look at horse racing. Here's a left field one for you. Why do all the best horse races have blinkers on? Because they're not distracted by what the competitors are doing. Focus on their own race. You know.
There you go. There's a business model. Blinkers for estate agents.
Prop blink.
Prop blink. If you stick prop, this is my biggest bugbear. If you put prop in front of anything, it suddenly becomes. It's like the property industry doesn't trust the product until it says prop in front of it. Like appointment booking systems. They've been using these systems at dentists for years and doctors' surgeries, and we're saying, oh, well, yeah, we can't use that. It's not for property. So they take the same system, change up the label a little bit. The functionality remains exactly the same. Stick the word prop in front of it, and suddenly it wins an award.
I know. So what are we saying about commission?
I think it's a blend.
It's a blend. I think it's got to be a blend. I think to get the best out of people, it's got to be you create an environment where they are rewarded well for the efforts that they put into it, but they're also rewarded for bringing with them the other members of their team and making sure that everybody's in it together by having an additional, as you said, maybe quarterly team pot.
Yeah. What's your view on chaps? What's your view on golden handcuffs for your best people? So long-term incentive plans. You know, if you hit your target this year, you get your normal commissions and your office pot, but then you'll also earn another 10 grand, and we'll put it in a savings account for you based on your goals as an individual. The business can help people achieve their goals.
This is going to be interesting because I'm going to have a different opinion on this. I can feel it.
Okay.
Go on, Graham. Do you want to go with it?
I like it. Again, I think it depends on the terms of the handshake, and it depends on the how tied in the individual is into that business. I do think that there's an issue in agency, this revolving door issue.
Yeah.
Someone told me, don't quote me exactly, I think it was Josh Rayner, that the percentage of agents that change jobs every year in agency, something between 20 and 25%.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah,
something like that. If that makes sense to you guys. So I think our industry has a problem, and that does need to be solved. Whether it's golden handcuffs and that kind of thing, I don't know. If it was me, again, I only talk about me, my experience and my opinion, that if I was doing it again, I would seriously consider giving equity in my business instead of a golden handshake.
Yeah. Yeah. But then surely that's only valuable to somebody if you're going to sell a business.
Yes, I think you're correct. If you've got a plan and you're that way inclined, I think it can work in dividend payments as well and things like that.
Profit share and stuff like that.
Yeah, that some of the best agents I've ever met, one randomly in Shropshire, just will never leave his agency because he's a decent shareholder. He cares so much about that business. He's got his phone on WhatsApp at 9 o'clock at night with vendors because he feels like he owns some of it.
Yeah.
And he feels responsible for it. And he'll stay late. He'll lock up. He'll make sure the lights are turned off. He'll make sure the alarm's on. All that stuff. That for a business owner, it means a lot that someone cares as much as you do. Because finding employees that care as much as you do is like, it's just a 2-10, isn't it? You just can't find these buggers anywhere, and it's really, really difficult. So I'd
give you an example. Sorry, boys. Let me give you an example. It's a really good point, Graham. You've got a really promising young negotiator who is on her, and I'm talking about experience here, I'm not going to name any names, who I used to hold regular negotiator meetings with the team when I was running agencies. And one of the things I used to ask them all to do, normally when the first time I had them in a session, was to outline to me their goal for the next 12 months, 24 months. Now, a lot of them don't know what it is. A lot of them don't have one. And we encourage people to work towards something they wanted to achieve. One particular person, one lady who was very, very good, said, I want to buy a house. I want to get my first house, with my boyfriend and so on. And we said, okay, let's just look at that for a minute. Tell us about it. Well, I need to save up 15 grand. So what we did is we put into place a long-term incentive for her, and we had the scheme for other people as well, but based primarily on their goals. So they were working towards a key moment in their life. They felt supported by the business. It drove productivity pretty well because they knew that it wasn't just about money. It was about something else. And I accept your point very well, Graham, about equity and options or whatever it might be that you decide to do could work exactly the same way, but only as long as it fits with the goal that the person has. And maybe, again, a blend of the two could be the right answer here. But I think that if we are to look after our best people, Christ, we teach the people in agency as owners to retain customers, yet we don't make too much of an effort to retain our best people, other than chucking money at them when they're about to leave, which is quite often too late and it's
well too late, because if you're having to bribe somebody to stay, so this is why counter offers don't work, okay? And the reason counter offers don't work is they're going to throw more money at you to stay. That's a reaction. That's because the business owner is panicking that you're going to walk out and they're not going to find your replacement in the next 30 days. Okay. Yeah. So they're bribing you to stay. But when a business decision comes up about a promotion, they're going to remember that they had to bribe you to stay. Graham, you've just been talking about loyalty and the value of having somebody in your business that's loyal and feels the same way about your business that you do. This person's well and truly told you that they don't feel this way. You've just had to bribe them to stay. So you're already on borrowed time at that point. It doesn't work. The golden handshake. So I said I'd have a slightly different opinion on it, and I do. I know a lot of candidates who are waiting for it before they move.
Yeah, that's true.
And what that means is that they're already in working. They're starting to slow down. They're getting ready for it, and it's not the motivational tool you think it is, because it can be, don't get me wrong, but if somebody is now thinking of leaving, it doesn't stop them from leaving. It just means that they leave after they've had that payment. And also because they're worried about the stick that they're going to get turning up on the 1st of May, having just been paid on the last working day of April. They're also the people that sort of write in and say, oh, well, I've got holidays to take, so I'll take 2 weeks holiday now, and actually you're only getting a week's handover. And the business ends up suffering as a result of it. I think it's not a case of equity, profit share, golden handshake. I think it all comes down to culture. Yeah. If the culture is right in the business and you bring things like that in and those incentives, you're off to a winner. But I think if you haven't fixed your culture and you just try and add those things, it's not going to make it. It's not going to make the difference you're wanting it to.
I think the only way it can make a difference is how you position it. So if you had equity options, for example, you have to hit certain targets and certain numbers to get those options. So I know as a business owner, you might be have one eye on leaving, but you're only going to get this reward if you hit your target. And at that point, I accept that at least I'm going to get your best performance. I might not get to keep you, but I'll get your performance because you want to take that home with you. You don't want to leave it on the table.
The other fear with that is, of course, is that actually it comes down to the kind of people that you're recruiting. So as an industry, we're pretty scared for the most part of hiring entrepreneurs. And I hear time and again, there's a few reasons why people don't like hiring entrepreneurs. Number one is they say, well, they've had their own business, it hasn't worked, so they're just going to come in here, make money and go and do it again. That's the first one you get. Number two, while some people won't admit it, is what if this person comes in here and shows me up? What if they come in here and they've got some great ideas and I end up looking like a lemon? People worry about it from a management perspective because they look and go, oh, he's got as much experience as I have, or possibly more, or she's got this, and it really puts them off. They worry about the structure of the team and all that kind of stuff and how they're going to manage them. So again, it's the chicken and egg situation. It's the estate agent saying, how do I find more landlords and vendors, rather than how can I get more landlords and vendors to find me? It's the same thing with recruitment. We need more entrepreneurs in the business. So I was having a conversation with somebody earlier, right? And I was talking about prop tech champions. So utilizing that example that you did before about the combined commission structure. So you've got your own individual commission structure, which you're being paid based on the efforts that you put in, right? But then you're also going to give them a team incentive, which they can all achieve if they hit X, Y, and Z. But the only way to achieve that is for everybody to be utilizing the prop tech, the system, the whatever, right? The process that is in that business. So if you have an entrepreneur within that department, so let's say your negs department, you've got an entrepreneurial person within your negotiations department, and you empower them to become the prop tech champion for that particular thing, or the content champion, for example, the marketing champion who's going to be spreading a personal brand, and anybody who's got some ideas can come to them and share them and bounce ideas across. Well, they're not going to leave your business anyway, because you've effectively given them a slice of your business, which is that department, and allowed them to make it their baby. You also look like a genius, because rather than you having to, as a business owner, having to learn about all these different systems, techniques, processes, the latest prop tech, social media, content marketing, you can give that to somebody who is going to be chomping at the bit and hungry to go and do it, and financially reward the entire team for adopting it.
But okay, yeah, so I get that. But do you not just? I mean, you said earlier on that the days of people working for 10 years in an office, are gone and they're dead.
Yeah.
And we all agree with that. So, what should our expectation be of how long someone is going to stay to us? Because I appreciate your point about people being loyal, and there's definitely plenty of those people. But actually, the thought of staying in one place, one environment, whether it's an office or being, in a high street location or in a hub or whatever it might be, for the next 20 years, turns an awful lot of people off. So
it's not going to happen.
Are we as employers actually thinking that, to get hold of a member of staff and look at and have them in our business for the next 10 years is what we want to do? It's fantasy, isn't it? They're not going to stay.
It's hard to answer that.
I think the kick in the teeth would be if they went to a rival outfit and you've let them go doing exactly the same job. That's where I think I'd be really cheesed off.
Yeah.
If they were going to do a different career, absolutely get that. I get people do career changes, but to lose someone, and what you just said, Phil, I think there's a real danger and risk in that. And I've done it before. I've brought in really good people to do specific tasks and thought, aren't I great? And then they bugger off, and I can't replace them for love
someone
of money.
to replace them. Yeah, I get that.
And they go with all the IP. So you're left high and dry. That business owner does no content. Where the hell is he going to find another one of those? And I just don't think there's that talent in the industry to have that luxury that you can just replace like for like. And I sort of look at the Americans, I look at the Australians, and I look at fundamentally estate agents. My question to you guys then is, are agents proud of what they do for a living in this country versus a realtor in the States or over in Australia?
I don't think they really will be until regulation comes in, licensing comes.
I love the fact that you've just said that. So I spent however many years working in South Africa, where you have to be a licensed real estate broker. They're all self-employed. They're all commission only for the most part. And they have to go and do this license and this qualification before they even get through. They've got to do a criminal check to make sure that they've not done anything untoward. I mean, let's be honest. Let's talk straight, right? We can take somebody from car sales, recruitment, whatever, right? Never having worked in property before. Stick them in a 3-week training course and call them an expert, right? Give them the keys to somebody's house. That's terrifying. I think the industry needs regulation, because what you end up with as well, and I did a video on this which I shared on LinkedIn, and I called it bum on a seat estate agency. There are so many businesses, as you've possibly said, Graham, because of the lack of talent out there, that look and say, I need somebody. I know that's a C or D grade player, but I need a bum on a seat. And they bring them into the business. But what they don't realize is the long-term damage of that, not just on the reviews and all that kind of stuff, which is pretty obvious, but on the culture. Yeah. Because if you suddenly bring in, like, let's go back to the football analogy, right? If Ronaldo is playing for Juventus and Juventus suddenly signs someone from Swansea or Cardiff, not picking on Wales, or Southampton, they're going to look at them and be like, "You're having a laugh." Look at the big names we've got here. Is this where we're going now as a company? And people start to question it. Whereas if you set the bar and say, that's the bar, that's where it is, and we're not going to lower from that point, yes, it might take you longer to recruit, but you're sending out the message to the people in the business and the industry, which is, we will not sacrifice. And people want to be involved in businesses like that because they feel like the creme de la creme, and they are proud to be there.
I think it's the irony.
Sorry, Brian.
I think the irony that's not lost on me is that with the vast amount of compliance in our industry now, particularly with lettings and sales, that we are asked to impose onto the public, yet that isn't imposed on us.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to be extreme here and controversial, and I'm happy to take the trolls for this, but you could have someone that is got their hand in the till, checking to see if the buyer or the seller is not an anti-money launderer, yet they could be themselves. So, what the hell is that all about?
Yeah, and I think it's our reputations as estate agents has just tarnished over the years. but you go over to the States. I mean, you listen to Keller Williams, like the top people over at Keller Williams, which is an interesting subject in itself. Then I think I saw an interview recently with, I think it was a number 4 agent. I sort of shared it on LinkedIn. Don't know if you guys saw it anyway, from Chris Buckler, who went out there and interviewed. And he said to the guy, what's your 3 things you do every day to keep you number 4 in Keller Williams global family performer? And it was 3 simple things. One, he says he calls 100 people a day. He does 2 hours of local market research. So if the chef has changed at the Marriott Hotel down the road, he wants to know who the new chef is and go and meet him. It's that micro detail. And he does an hour of self-development every day of training and learning how to sell to different types of people. And I think they're so proud of what they do, and they're so knowledgeable. They're actually, they are professional people, and they're so much more respected when you call yourself a realtor, because you just know everything about the area. You're really well respected, and you do your own self-development. And Brian, I think you'll agree with me. Over here, we sort of do the minimum. We do the bare minimum, and we're just not professionals. And you can't say you're a professional if you're not putting in professional amount of hours. And I think it's 10,000 hours to become proficient at something, I say, of practice.
Yeah, that's right.
We've got loads of proficient and expert Rightmove receptionists, though. They're spending well more than 10 hours dealing with Rightmove inquiries. Does that not qualify you as an experienced expert realtor? I mean, I'm saying this with a bit of a smirk on my face, but
I'm talking about getting out there and knowing your market.
And I couldn't agree more with you, because this is. I mean, again, Brian, I know you did a video on this recently about the whole Rightmove thing. There are businesses out there that's all they do. They stick it on Rightmove, wait for the phone to ring. Utilize the time that you have available to creating content. Utilize the time available to be speaking with people who are going to be your potential customers and asking them what they want to hear. Learn about your market, as you said. Become the expert rather than the cliche term. Actually become the expert. Put time and effort into it.
This is why not go into the local schools and meet the teachers. Find out who the new head is. And then when people come and talk to you about the schools, that's a massive subject about moving. But when's the last time an estate agent went into a school to meet the teacher, just to get to know them and have a view, have an opinion on, that school's really good, the new head's there, she's doing this is their average grade. I'm on the pulse. I know exactly why you should buy this house. And try comparing that, with all due respect, to someone from Purple Bricks. I don't think you get the same sort of quality answer.
Do you know what? I agree. I mean, one of the things that we talk about in our training and our coaching sessions is that this is about home ownership, not home selling. And home ownership is more than bricks and mortar. It is the local community that you're going to settle into with your family for the next, and we know, according to Zoopla, the next 20 odd years before you move again. And so those things are more important now than they've ever been, because if you look at the cycle of ownership, has changed dramatically over the last 10 years, 15 years, from average 5-year moves, 7-year moves to 20-odd year moves now. So surely the importance of ownership and the importance of community and schooling and head chefs and so on is more relevant now than it's ever been. But there's a second point to this, back to your point, Gray, you made about Keller Williams. And I'm not talking about Keller Williams here, because there's plenty of models that are like this that do it just as well. But the main thing that the guy that you spoke about has, and I've worked with some very high billing agents, and I've been one of them. The secret sauce in this, of course, is structure to your day. That is something that 99% of the agents we see just do not have. So they end up spending a disproportionate amount of time during the day thinking that they're helping and talking to people, but they're not being very productive. To themselves, there's no self-learning going on. And secondly, they're spending a lot of time with people that aren't going to make them much money and not having a material impact in, for example, how long it takes to progress a sale and all of these things.
Busy idiots.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, this Keller Williams. Sorry, he would just call 100 people. I get why, because you're just creating business. So in that 100 people, one of them might go, how are you, Tom? Yeah, I'm all right. I've got a bit of problem at home with the wife at the moment. We might be going through a divorce, blah, blah, blah. He's like, okay, well, let me keep an eye out for properties around. I'll just keep an eye. Maybe I should come around and value the house just to get ahead of the game. He's going to get the instruction. He's so far ahead because he's got the relationship. Yeah. The fee doesn't come into it, does it, Brian? Once you've got that personal relationship and you're owning their journey, they don't care if they pay you another 0.5%.
Yeah, of course they bloody well don't. They'll do it because actually they think you care and they want to trust you, and they will trust you, and they're right to trust you because you do care. And it isn't this it's 20 years ago we used to say to our agents, the moment that you get a completion, you mark that client as a unconverted valuation, and back into the mix you go. Stay in touch, nurture them. An agent is for life. If you're trusted to sell my house I'm going to trust you to do most of the things I need advice on. Obviously health. But and it's true, but we don't. We seem to stop at that point and think we're just estate agents. We're just there to sell someone's house and do some viewings and put it on Rightmove. But it's so much more than that, which is not lost on the American market. And parts of the European market are very, very similar. There's some very high fees in lots of parts of mainland Europe, and obviously you talked about Australia as well. But the subtle difference is there's a personal connection where people actually care about each other, and then fee doesn't come into it.
Yeah, they don't even. Some of them don't even do marketing. They just go, "Well, I've got so much in my database. I don't need to go and do any marketing. I've got 1,000 clients in my drawers."
The difference with them is that they know their market and the process inside out and back to front. Let's be perfectly honest here. How many estate agents are in the industry that have never bought or sold their own home? But so they've never been through that journey. So the emotions that are invoked by selling a house that your children took the first steps in, how can they empathise with that? They've got no idea what that looks like.
Well, they can't. But
comes back to the school mums, isn't it?
Yeah, saying about get to know the local teachers. It's such good advice. But what we're asking people in this industry to go and find out that level of knowledge. They don't even know what's happened to prices in the last few months in their town, for Christ's sake.
No, it's a really good point, isn't it? It's so shallow. It's so shallow. But I think right now is the best opportunity that we've had for years for people to make serious money in agency. And people look at me like I'm mad when I say that. But I just think if you're prepared to put in those 2 hours a day, because like you say, you could sit there saying, "Oh yeah, I had a really busy day today." When you break it down minute by minute, how much time have you really wasted because without structure? And just put an hour in to start with. Just get up an hour earlier, and the opportunity is there now because 99% of agents will not do this sort of stuff, and the ones that are out there doing it in 2 years, 18 months, 2 years time, they're going to be in a really, really strong position, I think.
I agree with you, and I think if they don't, then Phil's point earlier on, those businesses will close, and the best people in those businesses will go and model themselves in the realtor market. They'll go and be individual business owners, small business owners, self-employed people that will dominate the micro niche of their small town, their towns. And that is one of the biggest threats to businesses at the moment, I believe.
I think more people leave because of the culture doesn't fit their aspirations than leave because of financial reasons. And that's coming from a recruiter. Genuinely, I think there are people that move for money, of course there are, but if I went to a top performer, so I'm talking an A-grade player now, and they're really happy where they are, and I go to them and say, I can give you an extra 10, 15 grand a year, they're not going to come. Because they've got a really good thing where they are, and they're enjoying what they're doing, and they feel respected and valued and trusted and empowered, and they feel like they're on the same page as their business owner, and they feel like they're all heading in this direction and on this journey together. Well, that's the important thing. So be honest about what you are when you're recruiting. If you're somebody who wants to embrace one thing and not another, say it. This is where your content comes in and your personality. So you can avoid mishires and things like that by being really clear about who you are and what you are. Because all the people that now don't want to work with you because they've heard that, they would have been the people that wouldn't have worked in your business anyway or wouldn't have been there very long. And all the people that are coming to your business are because it resonates with them. And that's important.
Brian, here's a question for you. How many morning meetings are a waste of time, percentage-wise?
99.
So, and what are they, an hour long?
Not that I've seen. Some of them, I guess, probably could be, but normally half an hour.
Half an hour. So,
how many meetings should be emails?
Say that again, Phil.
I said, how many meetings could have been an email?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you think about it, you probably could be in terms of the content that's covered and instructions that are given off. But it comes back to the purpose of a morning meeting. What is the purpose of a morning meeting? It's one
of those things, isn't it? It's almost like a bloody tradition, isn't it?
We do it because we've always done it.
Yeah, it goes back to that.
There's value in it, though, guys. There is value. If it's done well, it can be a motivational tool for the day. I mean, at the end of it, the first rule is it's a meeting, right? So you punch meeting into the dictionary, or it will tell you that it's for a common purpose. So if you've got 4 or 5 people there, it's not about individuals; it's about a team.
Yeah.
And it's about the key things that are happening. It should be used, in my opinion, to discuss where there are opportunities that have been missed, can be recollected, or opportunities that present themselves today. Not to discuss, and I again, be controversial about this. I've sat in some when I first worked for clients, and I've witnessed these in my corporate days and tried to eradicate it. Well, we did 3 market appraisals yesterday, and we didn't list any, but they went on with this price, and it was ridiculous. Why are we broadcasting failure? You know.
Yeah, it's not wait. Look. There's one-to-ones for discussing how to improve performance and stuff like that. That's not what a morning meeting is for. As you said, if you're going to insist on doing a morning meeting, it needs to be setting the tone for the rest of the day for everybody in that meeting. So it needs to be motivational. It needs to be inspirational. It needs to be we've got your back. I trust you to do what you need to do. If you need me, I'm right here for you. Anybody want to raise anything? Right, let's smash it. Let's go in. Let's celebrate some successes and let's crack on. Because why would you want to start your day on a negative tone? Well, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Say the same thing. Yeah, exactly. Demotivate your team before they've got to get on the phones and make some calls.
Yeah. Guys, go and make some money because yesterday you were all terrible.
Yeah, you were supposed to get 5 viewings yesterday. You only got 3. So today you've got a target of 7. Well, hang on a minute. Am I going to get 7 if I've only got 3 yesterday? Give us a throw me a bone. I mean,
precisely. Right. And now you've just got all the defensive. Everyone's backs are up and everyone's going, they just don't get it. They don't know how hard it is. And that's not where you want
things you've just both been talking about in terms of Keller and in terms of commissions and so on. Here's, I guess, one of the golden questions. How much should commission be? How much should commission be? And I used to fight like a fighter with this when we were doing the budgets. Motivating someone to go and do one of the most important jobs in agency, list a house, and pay them 30 quid for doing it after tax. That's a lot of
Are you motivated yet?
I think first and foremost, you shouldn't be chasing the fixed fee model, and so many agents fell into that trap, and now they can't get out of it.
Yeah,
and that was when I started the first online estate agency, so I know all about £199 up front and £199 on completion, and I ran a business like that for years. I charged the most I ever got away with, I think, was £599 up front. And we'd lose instructions to local estate agencies who would start to match that fee, and you think, crikey, I sort of puff your cheeks out of it and think, you've got to sell a lot of those, and now you've said you'll do it. It's like going to buy a 911 or a Ferrari or something. You walk in the garage. They don't do deals. They put you go on the waiting list, but the minute they start doing deals or negotiating on fee, they've had it. It devalues the brand. And I think a lot of agents fell into that trap. So I'd be really careful with commission. And I think you set it out as a business of what you value yourself at. That's what you're going and saying you're worth. And the only problem is if you don't perform. And you don't prove that work. You've got to prove
I agree with you. But how much should you earn if you work within an agency business? How much of the pound of commission that is earned by the business should you take for doing the job?
I think it needs to be scalable. I'm a massive believer in it needs to be scalable. I think there should be tiered commission structures, so that the top performers can really, really achieve. Like if you using the £30 example, if you were to say, right, it's worth 30 quid to you. Well, it's worth 30 quid to you until you've sold over X hundred amount of properties, and then from that point to the next thing, it's £60. And then there's a small window at the top, which would mean you're the top performing agent, absolutely flying, doing really well, and we'll offer you even more of a percentage of that. So the idea is that the higher you go, the more money that you can earn, because otherwise, where's the additional incentive to go that one step further? That's how it works in recruitment. For example, the best agencies in recruitment will say, right, you earn 10% of a commission structure until you've billed £60,000. Then once you go over £60,000, we'll take that to 15%. Once you build over 100, I'll take it to 20%. Once you get over 150, I'll give you 30% of the commission. And you're going, I'm just going to keep pushing. Push. Whether that's a monthly thing, whether that's an annual thing, doesn't matter. But just keep them motivated and keep it pushing all the way along. And I think that's where a lot of businesses do fall over, because they'll either have a team target, as you said before, or they'll have like a blanket commission structure that's like, right, there you go, £30 per deal, done.
Yeah. Bryan, what's your thoughts?
When I was a neg, they wouldn't let me earn. They capped it because they said you can't earn more than the office manager.
What?
Who wasn't going out valuing. They were there to manage the office and seen as a senior person in there. But they wouldn't let it's like the players earning more than the manager in football. That never used to happen. But now, in order to attract the best talent and keep these guys, they're paying them $400,000 a week.
Yeah,
not that much, maybe, but Alexis Sanchez probably earning that. But
and he doesn't play.
He doesn't play. Yeah, but let's say you know what I'm trying to say. Back in the day, the manager was the boss. You couldn't get above your manager. He was there to stay. There was a ceiling there, and you get really frustrated. But I think why the hell not let the star players in earn more than the guy that's sitting there managing the team?
Capped commission structures grind my gears.
Well, that's because their IP is worth a lot more now. You know, the money that the club will make back on the sales of shirts and everything else, because the player is an influencer now. Back to about
exactly.
Digital mayors. It's a very similar thing, isn't it? But
yeah, I'd say
expect to have but can you expect as an owner of an estate agency business in these days to have an influencer in your business and you're paying him 5% commission, or her 5% commission, more likely to be her? They're not going to stay.
No, it's too low. It's way too low.
But it's the problem that they now have is that there isn't enough money to play around with in estate agencies, because they're busy playing this estate agency limbo where they just keep lowering the bar to see how low each other will go and see where everybody's breaking point is. And instead of adding value to the industry and establishing your own fee that you are worth, everyone's just going, well, we'll do it cheaper, we'll match their fee, we'll do this. And that really bugs me, because as a professional industry, if you had to go and have an operation, for example, and you had to go private for whatever reason, you wouldn't choose the cheapest doctor, the cheapest surgeon, would you? You choose, you choose the one that's going to do a good job, has got a good track record, has answered your questions, that you think, oh, I'm safe in this guy's hands. And you need the same attitude towards your estate agent. But as an industry, how can we expect the vendor or the customer or the landlord, even for that matter, to feel that way about our service when we're busy telling the industry, oh, well, we'll just keep lowering our fees? That doesn't scream professionalism.
I think agents need to have a fee and stick to it, and then work their business around it. So they provide. If you want to be 1.5%, then act like it from start to finish. You don't go for a haircut and say to somebody and expect the hairdresser to look at you and go, oh, I think you'll be 20 quid because I charged the last guy 15. It doesn't work like that. It's a menu of services, whether it's a percentage or whether it's a fixed fee. And I appreciate your point, Graham. I think we should have a fee and stick to it. That's what we charge for what we do.
And I don't get value out of it. I don't think we should get hung up about losing the instruction or getting it second hand or third time. I'd love those instructions now.
Yeah.
Because by the time you get second or third instructed, the vendor's so tired, and they've learnt the lesson. They've got their asses kicked by a low up front fee that just didn't work. It was a disaster. They've then gone to the cheapest in the town, who does 0.8% plus VAT, and it got also a bad experience. By the time they come to you, they'll pay your 1.5, as you said, Brian, because they want the pros to take over now, and they probably won't ever do that again, what they did. Yeah. So I think you've got to be patient, because you will lose instructions, but they will come back. But again, it goes back to nurturing and marketing, and how you're keeping in touch with those people who you went to value, and what kind of impression you left on them when you first went round. And you just don't negotiate. Once you start saying, we normally charge 1.5, you might as well just walk out and forget about it.
Or we charge between 1 and 1.5. All right, you want.
Well, lucky for you, I've got my DFS Tuesday sale on. The sale ends tonight, starts tomorrow morning when I'm back in the office.
Yeah. Horrible.
I know.
Horrible.
Yeah, it's crazy. So you're thinking, Graham, you're not an advocate anymore of fixed fees then. You're thinking percentages?
Absolutely, yeah, percentages.
Bill, what do you?
Yeah, me too. I think design a service that you can offer. Find out what it is that your customers want. Design a service for them, and then work out what that's worth, and then go and stick to it. Don't take anything away from the service. Don't add. Don't remove the price. Your service is your service. Your price is your price.
So talking about prices, and obviously being my next question for both of you is transparency with fees. Hot topic at the moment. Obviously, for years, as far as I'm concerned, we should be, by the way, transparent on our fees. And for years, we have been with letting fees. And I can count on one hand the thousands of agents I've seen and spoken to, and had the pleasure of coaching over the years, that actually the volume of agents, since they've been publicising their fees, and the fees vary in the town depending on the agent, they've not seen a massive drop off in instructions or business because of it. Yet we're still very frightened to do it on sales. And I find that quite interesting. And I'm just very keen on your views. Should we be more transparent and upfront about what our fees are with agents? With customers?
I think it makes it much more professional if you put your fee out there. It is what it is. That we're proud of it. We don't negotiate on it. I think even more reason not to negotiate, because that's the price you pay.
But I think that's why they are concerned about it, because there is so much negotiation and flexibility with fees at the moment. What people are worried about is saying, oh, well, I did it for 1% for them and 1.5% for them. So if I start sharing my fees now, people are going to be like, well, hang on, how come he got it for this and she got it for this and all that kind of stuff, which is where, as you said, the transparency and accountability comes in, which is if you say, this is my service, this is my fee, why would you be ashamed to hide it? Why would you want to hide it? It's your fee, it's what you do. Plaster it everywhere. Tell them.
If you're comparing an apple with an apple, I absolutely get that. So if you see the same product doing the same thing and it's cheaper, human nature says go for the cheaper one. There's no difference. But when you start to see the product differences, that's where it is. That's where you can charge the higher fees, as we keep saying. But if you're just doing what everybody else is doing, and you look like them, and you sound like them, and you dress like them, and you do the same hours as them, you're going to get human nature's going to take you to the cheapest one every time. You've got to be different. But it's like we said, you got a fortune favours the brave, and it's the ones who start breaking away and actually doing it. Yeah, but you can't put your fees up and then not change. That's just ridiculous.
No, you can't. No, there has to be something to it. Yeah.
But could it be something that forces the the professionalism side to be improved, because we're now going to go for this fee? Let's work our business model now around charging an extra couple of percentage points, 0.25, 0.5, and now we're going to have to act like it, and it could be a catalyst to change. In terms,
I love that. Raise the bar.
Absolutely. Talking about the fees, then obviously hot topic at the moment since February, obviously, is the National Trading Standards advice and guidance about obviously being transparent in sales regarding referral fees. What are your thoughts on that? A good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing. Again, I think a lot of agents over the last few years have compensated their lower fees by putting up their referral fees.
Yeah,
which is the wrong way to do it. If you're an agent and you're relying on referral fees to make ends meet, then you've got a bigger problem. I think in the back, lurking in the back. It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. You might make a couple of £100 from conveyancing, but as we keep saying, if your percentages are right and you position your business well enough, you don't need to go after that a few £100 anymore. It becomes irrelevant.
Yeah, but this is now talking about the guidance, as I understand it, is now talking about, it's not just the good old, we've got this conveyancer we recommend, or, have a chat with our mortgage advisor. It's also, we're going to do some professional photography and there's a £70 charge, but actually we make £30 profit on that. Or I'm charging you for an EPC at £99, but I'm buying the EPC at £40. There's disclosure required for that now as well.
I guess
I think it needs to clean up the industry, like we keep saying. If we want to be respected and we want to be professionals, then we need to be very transparent about what we do. And again, you're talking about tens of pounds. It shouldn't matter that much.
No, and I guess it comes down to the quality again. So right, this depends on why you're working with suppliers, right? So there are businesses out there who choose a supplier. So let's say the photographer or the conveyancer or whatever, because they can put an additional fee on there, or they know that person is going to pay them more of a referral fee. Well, now we're taking it back to what's best for the vendor, aren't we? And what's best for the vendor is not you referring them over to a service because it's the one that pays you an extra couple of quid at the end of the month. It's the one that you recommend because they're going to do a good job for the vendor and guide them through their next part of that journey, or whatever that part of the process is. So I don't think you should be embarrassed or ashamed or sort of trying to hide these referral things, provided you can justify why you're recommending the person you're recommending them to.
But do you not see that, maybe controversial or not, I see this requirement, and it's not a legal requirement yet, and the frightening thing is if agents don't take this seriously, there'll be a banning order, no doubt, on this within 12, 24 months, which means we'll now won't be able to charge it at all. So do you not see this as an opportunity for bundling, for saying, actually, we are going to now charge 1.5 and not 1, but our 1.5 is going to include professional photography. We'll bear the cost. It's going to include an EPC. It's going to include, if applicable, etc., etc. And that's why we're 1.5%, which therefore removes a lot of the onus on, did we tell them we're going to make 30 quid on this one and 40 quid on that and 60 quid on that and 190 quid on conveyancing? Does it not remove that? Is it not?
In fact, it makes you look far more professional and generous as well. In fact, even if you do say it. So, for example, what you could do is combine the two worlds there. I mean, just spitballing ideas here. But if I went into somebody's lounge and was talking to them about this, I'd be saying, look, if you were to do these things individually, the photographer is going to cost you £70. We charge a £30 introduction fee on top of that. We do this, we do this, we do this. However, if you take the bundle, which is 1.5% of the property value, which obviously you then don't pay until we've sold your property anyway, we will stomach the cost for those things, and it's all wrapped up as part of the service. Because then you've been both. You've been transparent about what it is, but you've also made your package offering a far better attraction. Because it's how can somebody justify whether it's a good deal for them if they don't know what the other alternative is? So tell them what the alternative is, and say you can either do it individually if you want, but it will cost you this, this, and this, and this is what we take from that, or bundle it all in together, and it's far better for you. What do you want to do?
I know agents that have had great success in putting the legal fee in the fee, so that they cover the legal fee. The vendor and the buyer will pay the disbursements, of course, and everything else, but with the legal fees wrapped up in it as well. I used to do that in my business, and it was very successful.
And what are you doing there now, Graham? When you're looking for suppliers, you're looking for the best people, aren't you? You're not looking for the people paying the highest referral fees.
No, I don't take referral fees. It's literally it's what can you give back to my customer, to my
Precisely.
members. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if it's the right advice for your customer, then it's the right advice to give, isn't it?
100%.
To use them. But is there not an argument to say that the public actually have an expectation that, if you are going to organise my EPC and it's going to cost you £40, I expect there's a payment I have to make to you for doing all of the organisational work. So if I'm buying my EPC at £50, but I'm charging you £100, actually what I'm charging the £50 isn't just straight profit. It's from my work to get the EPC organised, get it, take it on the file, get it registered, make sure it's front and centre on our set of details, etc., provide it with the lawyers and so on.
If it wins you the instruction, it's a cheap CPA.
Yeah.
Yeah. And look, Greg, last time you were on a show, Graham, you were talking about content-wise, right? And you were talking about a day in the life. In one of my videos the other day, I was talking about the fact that one of the most Googled questions to do with estate agency is, what does an estate agent do? So it's okay to say, Brian, do they not expect to have an additional price on it? I don't know. Maybe some of the market does, but I think the vast majority of people don't fully understand what an estate agent does. And if they could figure out how to buy or sell a house or rent a house without them, they probably would. Because they don't understand the value of it, which again comes down to an education piece around the market. If you've got, using the example of America and on Australia again, if you've got realtors who are professional and credible and everything else, and that it's clear what they do, that they are the pro at what they do, then yes, you absolutely expect to pay a fee for your service. When I send my stuff to my accountant, I'm pretty sure she's not going to do it for free.
No,
because I'm going to pay for her time because she's good at what she does. And it's the same level of professionalism that needs to be attributed to estate agents. But whilst you've got estate agents who don't behave that way, I think it's always going to be difficult to try and justify that to the industry, because they're going, well, can't I just do that myself? What for?
Absolutely. And we shouldn't be afraid of actually making money. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
We shouldn't be afraid of worry that clients are going to think we're horrible because we're making a bit of profit on the things we do. That's what we're here. We're here to help people, provide them with services that are relevant. And if we're going to organise it, then, there's a little bit of money in it. I like the idea of offering people the choice, though, of saying, look, we can do this, this, or this, or we can actually just do it all for you. Mm-hmm. Very much the way of lettings, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think what you said earlier, Brian, about moving every 18 years or 20 years now. It's quite intimidating to move now, because you've just completely forgotten what it was like. When it was every 7 years, you kind of remembered it, and you're happy to get a bit stuck in. But now I think especially the generation that's coming through in this on-demand world, they haven't got much time and patience. They want everything done for them, but they'll pay for it. They'll pay the right price. So I think if you could just put your arm around them and say, look, we're just going to take care of everything for you. You haven't got to worry, because no one's got any time anymore, have they?
No.
Everyone's busy running around. They don't want to get involved. They just don't want the hassle.
No, exactly right. Exactly right. So one of the things that, is on these referral fees with trading standards that the advice that I've given clients is, obviously, when it comes to disclosure, the guidance is saying that you need to show if you're taking a cost per referral and you're not on a retainer annually, then you need to show the average that you take. And one of the best ways that I've interpreted this and I've advised my clients is to make sure that they are adding it to their terms and conditions, probably just underneath where the fees are mentioned. And talking about, we will at some point, we routinely refer our customers to our conveyancers, and we will receive a fee for that. And on average, it is, 300 quid, 200 quid, 100 quid. And now with buyers, the guidance is suggesting that we should be placing this on the sales particulars, so therefore it's displayed on the portal. And in both cases, seller and buyer, we are essentially showing it at the earliest point of a potential transaction, so that if it's going to influence someone to decide to do something, then we need to tell them early about it, not after. What are your thoughts on particularly the key one, displaying it on sales particulars, so it's on the portals? Is that not a danger of throwing leads out if everyone doesn't do it?
I don't think people will care.
Right.
I don't think when you're buying a house and it's on with a sole agent, you're not going to be put off by anything really. You want that house, and you're talking.
Yeah, that's so true. I'm not gonna go and see my dream house because you're getting £40 referral fee for the mortgage.
The other one that I don't like as much.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, so we can laugh about it, but here's a serious one for you, right? So you're on Rightmove, and you've got Agent A that has the house. It's a multiple instruction. Agent A hasn't followed the guidance, and we are going to see this, guys. Hasn't followed the guidance, hasn't made any reference to commission referral fees, and Agent B has. Which agent does the buyer ring then?
The one that comes back to you quickest.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Okay,
that's so awful, but it's true, isn't it? It is a race, though. That's what makes this so ridiculous. Is that you said that in jest, but that's actually the right answer.
Oh, I said it. It wasn't joking.
that's genuinely what happens, and that's insane that's what happens. But you know what? I think we go back to the education piece again, Brian. So when you were listing and you're sat in the lounge or wherever with this vendor, I think it's a case of telling them the questions to ask and the right kind of thing. So if you position yourself as, look, we're going to disclose all of this information to you up front. We're also going to disclose all of this information on the adverts. It's not something that we're legally required to do yet, but we probably will be at some stage in the future. We embrace that because we work with, the professionals that do X, Y, and Z and all this kind of stuff. But then in your advert as well, kind of stress that, it's not a legal requirement to tell you this, but we like to be open and transparent because we work with some of the best suppliers in the industry. Should you like an introduction to this person, we will charge you X, and as a part of that, we get X in return. Yeah. And I think the honesty is the best policy at that point, because it's that if you're then positioning that as a, look, everybody does this, it's just not a legal requirement to tell you yet. So even if you choose not to go with us, be sure to ask this, and this question of the person that you do choose to go with. Because that way it's calling out people in the industry that aren't, and there's going to start being questions around, well, why did such and such an agent advertise it on theirs, but you've kept it hidden? What does yours look like?
Yeah, no, I agree. Until the point in which you're sat on the couch and they say to you, so how much do you charge everybody? Well, our fees range from 1 to 1.5.
Yeah. Oh, depends if I like you. Who do you support?
I think it will come and go. A bit like EPCs. Yeah. Everyone started to get a bit hung up about their energy rating. But whoever got put off buying a lovely old cottage because it had an energy rating that was crap, against the house next door that was just Frankenstein by this solar-powered roof, but it had an A rating EPC.
Yeah,
just goes over people's heads, doesn't it? It's so emotive buying a house. All these little things, I just don't think they come into it. To be honest,
I agree. So what we're saying then, guys, is we're saying to our agents that embrace it, be transparent, go for it. Don't worry about it. Don't hide behind it. Don't wait for everybody else to do it and you be the last one to the party. Go out there, but then make a song and dance of the fact that you are transparent with this, and you're prepared to to come out and show that you do make a little bit of profit off of recommending carefully selected suppliers.
Yeah, and I think if the solicitor does a good job, and that's the going rate for a solicitor, if the solicitor wants to give half their fee away to the agent, it doesn't matter to the buyer or seller anyway. They would have paid that anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
They're getting a good deal. They're getting a good solicitor. They haven't got to go and find that solicitor themselves and do the research. I'm happy with that.
Especially if it's a high figure, for example. Let's say they're paying you £400-500 for a referral. There's always a way of dressing that up anyway, especially given the people that you work with. Because if you change the accountability and people are now working with professional people in the industry, I can justify saying, look, it probably would have cost you about £1,000 anyway. It's going to cost you exactly the same. The only difference is because we provide such high quality leads, because we deal with X, Y, and Z people within the industry, and they know we do a good job. Such and such an agent, such a solicitor that we use is prepared to pay us X amount, which is probably one of the highest referral fees they do in the industry. But because they know how credible we are, and they want to work with our customers.
Yeah.
And that now you've just taken a negative and turned it into a positive.
Yeah.
Using a slightly different scenario with this, but again very in keeping. I was talking with a client of mine the other day, and he said, you got no idea how many calls we're having to field regarding this lettings fee ban. People, he said, and they've all got the same questions. And I went, right, so presumably you've recorded a video answering those questions and then either text it out or mailed it out to all of your existing landlords and encourage them to send it on to other friends and family who are landlords so that they can be sure to ask those questions from their estate agents and letting agents as well. And there was just a complete period of silence. And he went, it's actually a really good idea, that.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, and it'd probably save you about 5 hours worth of calls a week as well. So rather than wasting your time, go and do it, but embrace it, and if you're going to embrace it and say, look, everyone's got these kind of questions. If you want any more details on it, get in touch with us because we're more than happy to discuss it. However, most people just want to know the important stuff and how it's going to impact them. So this is the situation. This is what we've done. This is the impact it's going to have on you, and this is how we're cushioning that blow, right? This is the service that we're going to provide to you. Now that's great, right? But if you then include at the end of that piece of content, so look, these are whether you're with us or not, feel free to send this on to a landlord that isn't, etc., etc. Make sure if you are still unsure of what your lettings agent is doing for you, that you ask them this, and this question, because that's the questions that our landlords are asking us, and that's the questions that we're answering. And, you can win business off the back of something that at the minute is a problematic thing that's taking up loads of time and loads of calls.
Yep, agree.
Totally agree.
It's just the way you spin it, isn't it? It's if you embrace it and embrace something head on, people are going to respect you far more for it than if you've hidden it in the background and just, you'll deal with it if they ring.
Well, I'm going to quote Zoopla's State of the Property Nation report that they issued in November. It's something that I found fascinating because of the sample size of customers was over 6,000 or thereabouts. Mm-hmm. And the number one thing that people asked for was transparency about fees and processes. So we're only really doing what the customer wants us to do in the first place.
If only we'd ask them.
Yeah, God, absolutely right. Absolutely.
Fancy the crazy notion of asking our customers what they want. Rather than telling them, eh? What a world we'd live in.
We might get a few more instructions that way.
Well, yeah, you'd think so, wouldn't you? Given that that's what we're in the business of, you'd think we'd try harder to make them happy.
Absolutely. Good.
So what you're saying is that they don't all want awards, then? Is that not what we're saying?
No one cares more about your awards than you do.
Yeah. It's like that thing that Chris said the other day, wasn't it? I think he was speaking it as where was he?
Oh,
he was speaking it.
Wasn't he?
That's the one, and he was saying about how nobody cares about your Rightmove stats and market share apart from you and your mum. I'd like to add awards into that as well.
Yeah. No.
Especially seems as all you need to do these days is go into Google and type in awards, and you can buy one for £100 on PayPal.
Probably a point of difference for agents now is to not have an award.
Yeah, make yourself stand out. See, there's a selling point for that as well. We spend more time trying to make our customers happy than trying to win awards.
Mm.
Check my reviews out. They'll tell you what you need to know, not the rosette in my window.
Well, that's your biggest award, I think, is your customer referral. Your customer reviews, obviously, and your referrals you get from them. If they're advocates of your business and they're singing your names around the town, then it's worth a lot more money.
It's those Google stars, isn't it? It's I wonder how many agents Google themselves and actually realise how bad they look.
Yeah.
It's horrible to see.
That's the irony, isn't it? And you're so right. Agents send out loads of marketing about we've won this award, we're proud to do this, and blah blah blah. And then someone goes, okay, let me Google you.
Yeah,
love it. Right,
news.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
But they think people, for some reason, estate agents don't think that we're treated the same as every other industry. We are, right? So you get a menu posted through your front door. You have a look at it, don't you? Decent pictures, looks all right, reasonable price. Yeah, looks okay. The food looks all right at this place. The very next thing you do is Google it.
Yeah.
And if they've got terrible reviews or you can't find them, you go, yeah, I'm not sure about this.
Yeah.
It's $5,000 a holiday. $5,000, you'll go to TripAdvisor, and TripAdvisor the life out of that that investment into a holiday. Times that by, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 times into $200,000-300,000 investment into a property or a sale of a property. Geez, you're really going to want to make sure you got the right agent. I think, but again, there's these review sites out there to be controversial that appear to be being gamed.
Yes, yeah, there we go. So that's an interesting subject as well. So there's a couple of things in the media at the minute, isn't there, about companies that are being investigated for manipulating leads and paying a premium so that certain reviews get put on and certain reviews get removed. And I hate that. I really hate that.
Well, have you ever seen that the shed at Dulwich, that review that I think it was on YouTube, that just completely destroyed the review market.
Yeah, was that the restaurant, Brian?
The restaurant, yeah, there never was. It was Sky's Back Garden.
That's right.
Number one restaurant in London on TripAdvisor.
That's genius. I love that. That's so clever.
Live.
See, it's funny, but it's not funny from a customer's perspective, because our vendors are trying to trust these sites, you know. And if they go online to try and read about an estate agent and they think that they're reading, you know, genuine reviews, or maybe they are reading genuine reviews, you've just removed all the negative ones, then that's not fair either. You know, an independent review site needs to be independent. It can't be bought by one of the big boys saying, here's a load of money, take those ones off for us. It shouldn't be able to be manipulated, and there should be punishments for people that do. I really firmly believe in that. I think independent review sites should remain independent, because for me, they are a flavour of reality. You know, the whatever business it is, a restaurant, a hotel, whatever, their brochures will always tell you what they want to tell you. The reviews tell you the reality of the situation. So if you start to tamper those reviews, then they might as well not even be there, because the problem is you're then just going to have... You're creating a rod for your own back and everybody else's back. Because if it gets out in the industry that estate agents are manipulating their reviews, people stop paying any attention to them.
No, I agree. But a shout out to FIFO, who are probably the best ones I've come across, to be fair.
I think FIFO is really great. I mean, we use FIFO, and we talk about it quite a lot with potential clients, because actually it is transparent, non-manipulative, and also it drives Google, which is obviously a really important one, as you say. You know, and there's something else on the reviews. I remember reading an article from Google actually about the impact that a Google Gold Star. You know, we don't look at Google and go, oh my God, there's only one star. We just we see a gold star and naturally think back to our school days when we got one gold star for doing good work. We didn't get 5 gold stars for doing good work. And actually just gives us a bit of positivity that actually with 1 gold star, you're actually a decent business. Not as much effort put into Google reviews. I think people just don't seem to want to do that as much, and they should. It's a really, really key, important one.
Part of
Google's fantastic for that stuff. It really is.
Yeah, the FIA organisation, little plug for FIA. We're actually giving FIFO reviews to everybody as part of membership. We're insisting that they have it.
Great.
And if they don't want it, they're not the right member for FIA.
Well, exactly. They don't want it. They're not good enough to be part of it in the first place. That's the point.
No, that's right. So we're trying to create that culture where we can be quite proud of our members and go out and say, look, did you know FIA members were 4.7 out of 5 rated in the last 12 months as a collective? And just start giving information to the public that they actually find useful and fair and balanced, rather than the review sites that you can game that we've sort of mentioned.
It's only such a slight alteration to the way that you conduct yourself as well. So I found this even within my own business, you know. The amount of times that people call up, clients, candidates, whatever, and they call up and they're really grateful for what you've done, they're really grateful for your efforts, they're great that it's working out, they've been there a few months, you know, you found them a great person, whatever it is, right? And I used to end that call with, oh, thank you very much, that's really kind of you. That's lovely, thank you, I'm really pleased that it's working. Yeah, let's definitely keep doing it. Yeah, let's do some more. Yes, of course, I can help you find that as well. At no point did I say, that was really kind of you. If I send you a link, would you mind just writing that down in Google for me? I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know, now I do, absolutely. But I didn't. And the difference it's made to my business has been phenomenal. But I don't know why I haven't asked. Now I just feel stupid for not asking. But it's just such a slight change of behaviour. But I guess it also depends on where it comes to in the process. So again, without trying to pick on some people, I know that there are businesses out there who have teams of people that get you to write a review as soon as you've listed your property, because that's the stage that they're happiest. Particularly if they're bringing them on above market value and knowing that they're going to do a price reduction on you in a week or two's time, because they've come on with you because you've offered them a higher price than any of the other agents that valued them. You've got them to write you a review, and now you don't care.
Wow.
You're going to price reduce them in a few weeks' time. And genuinely, those businesses are out there. I don't work with them, but those businesses are out there, and I've come across them and gone, what do you mean you have a review department? Scary.
It's powerful. I mean, I used to, when I was managing director at Property Franchise Group, I looked after 4 different traditional brands, and they weren't really focused on the review, some of them. And I used to say to them, why don't you, what would happen if you printed off the logo of the stars, and it was like 1.5 stars out of 5, put it in font 200 and stuck it in your front window? And they were like, well, no one would come in. I'm like, okay, by the internet audience, far greater than your high street branch.
Massively.
What message are you sending out? And you spend, like, as you said earlier, we spend all this money to get them to our website, only to do the review and fall over.
It's connected. It's really good. So we were having this conversation yesterday, weren't we, guys, about the post where I did about leaflets. Now, I was being a bit aggressive against leaflets. For anybody that didn't see it, I said there are businesses out there that still send 50,000 leaflets at a time, carpet bombing an area, trying to win new business. But then the content is completely irrelevant that's on there because they're saying what they want to say, not what the vendors want to hear, or at least the questions that the vendors are asking. And they forget that the very next thing people do is Google you, or the vast majority of people will Google you. So you've just wasted money. So if your content's wrong, you've wasted money. But even if your content is spot on, and actually you've got that potential customer to take action from that leaflet, or from that business card, or whatever the hell it is, and they're going to go and check you out, if you fall over at the next bit, you might as well have not bothered. Save the money.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. You're advertising how bad you are.
Yeah. Well, why would you do that?
This is what we used to do.
Yeah. We've always advertised how bad we are, and it worked for us before.
Right, come on then. So let me ask you this, both of you. What are your top 5 annoyances about UK estate agents?
Oh.
And we'll go in reverse order. Number 5.
Are we doing a combined top 5?
Yeah, all 3 of us can answer it.
So you got top 15.
Top 15 things we don't like.
I'm going to go with the one we've spoken about a little bit, and we charge between.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's just mental.
I'm going to put lack of negotiation skills, proper negotiation skills, which cuts across fees, it cuts across price, vendor's price, all that sort of stuff. I have a belief, an unwavering belief, that the best agents are directly, personally responsible for influencing the final price of anything between 1% to 10%.
Yeah, go with that.
I'm going to add in Einstein's definition of insanity, doing the same thing and expecting different results. That's one of my biggest bugbears about this industry. The amount of people that go, I just don't get why we're not winning more market share. It's like, well, have you done anything to improve your market share? Well, I've pissed and moaned about it for the past 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, number 4. I'm going to go first. Agents that say they don't tout, but they do, or don't believe in touting, but they do. Why are they afraid to show that they want to generate business from other people's stock?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I get that.
Here's a controversial headline for you on this one. Touting is like teenage sex. We know it's going on, but no one wants to talk about it.
except the teenagers. Tell anyone that'll listen.
I'll go with closing at 5:00.
Yeah.
Just in this day and age, it's just lunacy, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Not asking our customers what they want. That's got to be up there somewhere, surely. It just seems like the most common sense thing ever in any industry. Ask your customer what they want.
Okay. Valuing rather than positioning a house. So the agents that are still to this day hell-bent on trying to pinpoint the exact price someone's house is worth, and failing to recognise that their job is not to value houses, it's to market houses and to position it. And to further that point, you ask any estate agent, who is responsible for the price of the property? They say, it's the market. The buyer will only pay what the buyer wants to pay. Yet they then try to provide a valuation based on what they think, rather than use the market to test what sort of response you're going to get and then give a price advice.
Yep.
That makes sense?
It does, yeah, massively. Can I put a really open one and just have fear? I think we're terrified as an industry. Yeah. We're terrified of telling vendors what we do. We're terrified of letting each other find out what we're doing. We're terrified of putting ourselves in the public eye. We're terrified of coming off Rightmove. We're terrified of Google.
Yeah.
We're terrified of changing the stuff that we've always done. It's just a massive culture of fear.
We should open an estate agency business, the three of us, that just has Google Duplex running it for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, just get inside Alexa.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, see, but there you go. So there was that. Graham, was it you that did the video?
Yeah.
with Alexa, it was, wasn't it? But that's phenomenal, right? The fact that more people aren't looking at that. We haven't even got an industry that are embracing Google properly yet, and we want to start talking to them about artificial intelligent assistants and how you need to get onto the answers for that as well.
I'll tell you something, Ryan. This is my prediction. I've got a younger sister who's in her early 20s, and she does a lot through Alexa now. There's no question in my mind when she comes to buy or sell a property, she'll ask because she trusts Alexa to give her the answer, and it'll be and by then, it might be another 4 or 5 years time. She'll say, Alexa, if she's selling, book me free valuations with the best local agents. You do it for me.
Yeah.
I haven't got time. I don't know estate agency. They all look the same to me. But I'll trust you. You give me the top 3 and send them around here. This is my availability. And that's going to catch people out. And I've been telling agents for about 18 months now, work out how to get inside Alexa before your next door neighbour does. Because if you say to her, who's the best estate agent in the world, like I did, she'll tell you. She'll tell you an agent, only one as well. That's fascinating.
Well, that's what comes next with Siri as well, isn't it? So Siri they've already kind of shown the personal assistant side of Siri that comes next, which is going to be able to say to somebody, listen, book me a restaurant at 7 o'clock, book me the best Italian restaurant within a 10-mile radius from me at 7 o'clock and book it in my diary and then send me directions and tell me where I'm going. Absolutely. And this all sounds really futuristic, but it's not. We're probably only 18 months, 2 years away from this.
Yeah, we're not even going to be driving cars soon, are we?
Well, you could have, Google Duplex making your appointments, Alexa picking your agent. You could then have driverless Google cars taking people to do viewings, and hey, we don't need estate agents anymore.
Yeah, yeah. All the agents need now is a mobile responsive website, and they're at the races.
They will be. Literally.
I'll do a little bit of a plug, right? There's a website that I use, and I really like it. It's called X.ai, as in the letter X.ai, and it's an artificial intelligent PA system. Now, I went to town with it when I first started using it because it was very much the new shiny thing that I enjoyed. But actually now I've kind of settled on a comfortable medium with what it does for my business. And, trying to manage the media stuff, the recruitment stuff and all this kind of stuff, I need some help. And the best way to do that is very much to have this artificial intelligent PA who I can literally CC in on an email and say, I'd like you to find a time for me to talk to this person. And it will, that person, that artificial intelligent person will email you back directly away from me and say, right, here's Phil's availability. Which one of these times work for you? Have access to his online diary and see where works for you. And stick it in yourself. And then I wake up the next morning and I've got 5 calls arranged here and I've got this call here and the number's saved and if it's a candidate, the CV's attached to it as well. And it's not doing the work for me. It's just making me far more organised. So I'm not just bouncing around the whole day, trying to get hold of people, catching that person's voicemail, doing this. And I don't understand why more people don't do that. I mean, how many voicemails do you come across a day? Arrange the call before you call them, WhatsApp them, text them, email them, do something. But don't just call them, get the voicemail and go, oh, we'll play voicemail tennis for the next 2 days and hope for the best.
Yeah. Yeah. I was at the Excel today for a show and I met this very interesting chap who was talking to me about the number of calls we now have to make to get before somebody actually calls us back has gone from 3 to 6.
Christ. Yeah.
Graham, what was your number 3, my friend? I'm not sure, I didn't write it down.
Mine was oh crikey! We're going back a bit here. What I've already said, or a new one?
No, you said. I thought you said one.
What did I say? My first one was about to and from pricing.
Yeah.
The second one was closing at 5.
Yeah. What was number 3? Phil's was fear. Mine was vows.
Oh, I didn't do it. So yeah. So mine would be not looking after their brand.
Yeah.
By that I mean letting the walls go yellow.
Yeah. You
know what I mean, Brian?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. What about number 2, Phil? Getting close to the top.
Bum on a seat recruitment.
Bum on a seat recruitment. Breathe on this mirror. When can you start?
Yeah, precisely. So it's yeah, pretty much, yeah. So, and then people, it's not so much the bum on a seat recruitment, it's the fact that you then expect amazing results from bum on a seat recruitment.
Yeah.
You hire C-grade players and wonder why they aren't Ronaldo.
Yeah. He's getting a bit old now, isn't he?
He is. Let's go for Messi.
Yeah.
I like Messi. Messi's still got that spark about him. Ronaldo's still got a spark about him, to be fair.
Well, he's not too shabby, is he, in fairness? But
no, I'd still take him.
Yeah, if you take out the impending court case, I think I'll go with Messi, in fairness.
Yes. See, I want a controversial podcast. I don't want a lawsuit, so we're going to avoid Cristiano Ronaldo's current media attention.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, it's unfound, unproven. So, great.
Innocent until proven guilty.
I'm going to go in your domain a little bit here. Lack of training and self-improvement. Standing still.
Yeah.
Standing still.
I'm going to go with boring morning meetings.
Topical.
Absolutely. What about number one then, chaps?
Oh, not the number one. I'm going to go for that they allowed Rightmove to hold them to ransom, and it's all their own fault.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
And now they're stuck.
I don't think they are. Well, I think there's things they can do. I don't think you could just come off Rightmove. I don't think that's an option. But, if you can start to, as I said, the other day, if you can start to make sure that you appear on Google when people are typing in the most commonly asked questions for estate agents in your area, and you come up time and again and your reviews are good, I think you can start to win some of that direct traffic back and take it away from Rightmove and Zoopla. But I think that takes an effort. It's okay to sit and complain about how much Rightmove costs, but are you actually doing anything to get the leads back?
Yeah.
Rightmove made us lazy a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. Let's get it wrong. Rightmove is necessary. There's no question about it, because it's too far down the tracks now for the public to suddenly turn around and go, oh, you know what, I won't use them anymore. Yeah. That's not going to happen anytime soon, and it will take a significant amount of time, money, and expertise to usurp Rightmove from that seat. I think the only people that will ultimately change Rightmove's dominance is Rightmove themselves at some point, but I think we're way off that just yet. Phil, what about you?
What is number one? I think it's going to have to be the one I deal with on an almost daily basis. So the fact that I deal with top 10% of the industry, but that means I have to find the top 10% of the industry, and we're an industry full of salespeople that all tell me that you can speak to 50 people from the same office and they're all the top performer.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to cut through the crap and be able to understand who these people are and all that kind of stuff. And I'll give you a bit of a tip on that, actually, that I gave to somebody earlier that I thought was something I've used for years, but hopefully it can make a difference to people's businesses. But for me, number one would definitely be, we're an industry of experts that know nothing.
It's my one.
Sorry.
That's all right. You can have that.
But it's true, isn't it?
We're true.
Experts in the industry that know diddly squat about their industry. How did we get there? It's incredible.
It is incredible. And, it was, I will give you the other one that I put down here too, but actually my biggest one is knowledge. And it kind of sits with your point, Graham, for number two on training and personal development. There is a worrying lack of knowledge. But not only knowledge about your local market and the things we talked about earlier with chefs and schools and those sort of things, but actually a lack of knowledge of your stock and what your clients are actually doing is a bigger worry for me. We're dealing with lists of people on databases now, and we're dealing with people that call in to say, I'd like to, like this or like that. And the lack of being able to articulate, do you know what, based on what you've just told me, I've got these two wonderful properties. And one of the most common things I hear in the training room and in businesses generally that I work with is, do you know what, we used to do that. Don't know why we stopped, really. Yeah, you used to know your stock. You used to be able to ring out on your stock because it's the only way you used to be able to generate viewings. Why have you stopped? Well, who told you to stop doing it? No one's done that.
Yeah.
But we've become, and I think with all the things we've talked about, we're not talking about every single estate agent in the UK. No, there are going to be people that do these things well that will listen to this show and go, well, we do that. What are they on about? And we're not talking to you. We're talking to the vast numbers of agents that don't do those things.
In fact, we're so passionate and angry about it because of you. Because there are people that do those things that are really credible within the industry, and we're completely with you. But there's a load of people who are letting the side down by being complete muppets that don't put this stuff into action. And they're the people that frustrate you.
This market...
So leaving the door open for other people to disrupt, that's the problem.
Yeah. This market will find them all out. Because there's just simply not enough volume to go around. So they can't keep doing the same thing. They can't keep doing the same thing.
No. My 1B then, I suppose. So I'm with you on knowledge. I'm with you on right move particularly. But I'm going to put into the pot, into my estate agency 101 room, I suppose, lack of a structure.
Yeah.
I believe that for most people that I meet, and if not, in fact, not all of them, although there is one company that I trained that I will never go back to because they shouldn't be estate agents, but I won't say who they are. But for everybody else, and all you good listeners out there, I think no one estate agent comes to the office or goes about their working day with any express a desire to get things wrong or to not look after people or not ring people back. But what gets in the way is what I referred to earlier, is a lack of a working structure. Agents tend to do all the stuff without prioritizing the stuff. And the danger, of course, with doing stuff during the day is you're very busy, but you will miss things that are more of a priority than other things. And I think that that's the danger, because the one thing that they don't have, they have the ability to change, they have the ability to, improve market share, but they don't have the ability to add more hours in the day. And ultimately, an estate agent, and I guess this applies to any industry, they are trading their time for money. So actually, but they're not using that time very well or very strategically, and there's so much more that could be done. I remember vividly, and again, I talk about this a lot when I'm coaching, is that one of the things I used to say now, I remember going into an office once in one of the my previous lives, and I was taught this by one of my first area managers. Go into the office, go straight to the paper diary that tells you how long ago this was, turn the next 7 pages of the diary and add up the number of market appraisals in there. And if they didn't have enough market appraisals in there and empty diaries, you'd be asking people, what are you doing? You've got an empty diary. The answer is you never have an empty diary, because your time is always spent doing what you did on the very first day you opened, generating instructions. So you're putting into the diary things that are stopping you generating listings. But the mentality seems to be, we'll blank out an hour for doing market appraisal follow-ups or generation. But that's what you should be doing anyway. Put into the diary things that are stopping you generating instructions, not the other way around. But that is normally caused by a lack of structure, because we don't have the time.
Interesting, isn't it? Because you talk about prop tech and all that kind of stuff, but that's not really the problem. It's organising your time better, and using technology to do that is 100% viable.
That's what gives you the time back, isn't it?
That's what gives you the time back. Yeah, and it's not prop tech as such. It's just organisational tech, really.
Absolutely. No, I agree.
And do you know what? And I think that this going back again to the bum on a seat recruitment. I think this is genuinely one of the biggest problems for that as well. So it's all right talking about organising your day and your diary and stuff, but the people who have a flair for this stuff and have a passion for the industry, they want to do those things. It's like trying to drag somebody along, trying to get them to do follow-ups. I mean, I know valuers in the industry who, they're there for a paycheck. They go out, they value a house. If they don't sign it up in the lounge, they don't call them back. They'll give it to the office and say, there you go, you do it. Well, what was the point in you going around to the house and building rapport if you're not going to call them up and follow it up? Well, I just don't. If you're passionate about it, like both of you guys are, we could stop this interview right now and still have another 2-3 hour conversation about property, because we love what we do and we love the industry. I mean, we might want to go get some food at some point, but but you get what I'm saying. We can talk about that all day. Whereas if you've not got that passion, that's where the problem comes from. Yeah. So in fact, I'll give you this tip, because I want to get this in here, because it's a really useful tip that I've used for years.
It's not sugars in your tea, is it?
No, it's not. So just to clarify what he's going on about. So apparently I looked like a mess about 12 months ago. That was Brian's exact words. They've seen my video content recently, and he was like,
mate, I was only joking.
I'm not, mate, it's fine. I completely agree with you, which is why I've made the change that I have. But
I agree as well, Brian, by the way.
Oh, thanks, Graham.
Well, that was a mess. Thanks, mate. No, part of the way I lost that weight was taking my tea down from 5 sugars to 2. So that's my new 5 to 2 diet. If anybody would like to avoid type 2 diabetes, get in touch. I'll send you a free book.
James Martin's doing it on Saturday Morning Kitchen, I think, this week. Phil is a special guest.
How are you going to stretch that into half an hour, right? We're going to get into the politics of how you make a good cup of tea now. So that's really dangerous. That's a whole pod on its own. Yeah, but one of the ways, look, a lot of businesses talk to me about mishires and stuff, right? And I talk about passion. I love passion, and I look for passionate people, okay? But in an industry full of salespeople, you're always going to have people sat in an interview telling you that you're the best and that they're the best and that they're top performer and all this kind of stuff. And there has to be a way to cut through the crap. And the same applies actually for vendors getting agents around to value their property, right? So they're all going to say pretty much the same thing. And you'll build rapport with some people, you won't build rapport with others, but you might come out of a day of having 4 people come around to your house to value it to go, Jesus, they all sounded the same. There's a really good way of cutting out and establishing who the best people are, not just as an estate agent, but as a candidate as well. And I call it the threat of reference check.
Right.
So halfway through an interview, when they've just told me how amazing they are, I'm going to get my phone out and I'm going to unlock it. And I'm going to slide it halfway across the table. And I'm going to look you square in the eye and I'm going to say, so if I was to call your director right now, what would he say about you? And watch their reaction. Watch for the eye contact, watch for the nervousness, watch for the moving, watch for all that kind of stuff. But then give them a little get out with that. Okay, give them a little bit of a get out, especially recruitment. Say to them, look, okay, maybe that's not a good example because your current boss doesn't know you're looking, so I'm not going to give him a call right now.
Yeah, don't ring it, please.
But the one before, what would he say about you? What would she say about you? And if the reaction is still really nervous, don't do it. Just as I have a policy of if somebody sits in an interview and insults their former employer, don't hire them.
You know what you could also do?
What?
Ask them what the alarm code is for their office. If they don't know it, they're not the first person in, the last out, are they?
Well, there is that, yeah, exactly. I like that. But if you ask them the question and watch the reaction, you and I both know, right? If I was to say to you, Brian, so you're telling me you're a great trainer. I mean, I know you are, but you're a great trainer. Blah blah. I don't know you from Adam. If I was to ask you for 2 or 3 clients that I can call, would you give me their number and let me give them a call? Yeah, of course you would, because you're confident in what you do. And you're not going to blink. You're going to look at me and go, yeah, absolutely you can. No bother. In fact, I'll give you the details. Yeah. In fact, do me a favour. Call them while I'm here because I love hearing people compliment me.
Yeah, you have a chat to them. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a top 10%er. If somebody panics at that point, it's like, I left the last place and it didn't end very well. And they speed up. Yeah, save yourself the bother. Don't hire them.
Yeah, good advice.
Because they're not a top 10%er. Exactly the same with estate agents. If you can't go through their list of sold properties on Rightmove or wherever and say, I want to speak to that one and that one, would you mind putting me in touch with those people?
Yeah, good point.
Then don't let them pick. Don't let them. Yeah, no problem. I'll get my mum.
Yeah.
She really likes me. Or they'll give their number to their mate or whatever. Be serious. You pick them. Go through the Rightmove list and say, there you go. You've sold these ones in the last couple of months. I want to speak to that person and that person about your service.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That's good.
Because most estate agents will walk into a room and they'll happily show you how many properties they've sold over the past few months. But God forbid, the idea of actually talking what if he tells them that I did it for 1% with him and I've just charged 1.5% with him, going back to the former conversation? Yeah, it'll terrify them.
Absolutely.
Whereas top people aren't afraid of you asking about them. Top people embrace that and want you to ask about them because now someone else is going to sell you instead of you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly. Good advice. So we've got the number one then. We've got Rightmove reliance, over-reliance. We've got lack of knowledge, and we've got lack of structure. It's our wish list of wish we've got this. Agents were doing these things better. Number 2, we've got bum-on-seat recruitment, lack of training, and boring morning meetings. 3, we've got valuing instead of actually positioning and being marketing experts, which they should be by now. We've got the fear. And I guess that fear also goes with, the fear of trying to charge a higher fee because agents will use it against me, where
fear of everything.
It's not the ultimate decider.
Yeah.
Not looking after the brand. And I think on that point, Graham, I want to make another point on your view there on not looking after brand. Something that again, we talk about a lot with agents is that the lack of coherence between the brand's message. So, I will send out a flyer saying something, back to your point, full of 50,000 flyers. But if I pick that flyer up as a customer and go on the website, I don't see the same message.
Yeah.
If you have a branch, it's not in the branch. If I ring the branch, they don't tell me about it. So where the language is disconnected.
Yep. Tone of voice. Big thing.
Doesn't happen with any other industry, as far as I can see. And we're talking about, charging between 1 to 1.5. Totally agree. No negotiation skills and just general apathy towards agency.
But that's not the fee thing. Touching, I think it was your point, Graham. That's a really good point, because that's not sales or negotiation. Lowering your fee to match the lowest person is not sales.
Well, it's also not going to put the client very confident about using you if you can't negotiate for yourself.
No, how you're going to negotiate to sell my house for the best possible fee, and you can't even work out how to negotiate your own fee.
Exactly.
Yep.
Nonsense.
Great.
Well, I've enjoyed this, gentlemen. It's been wonderful.
Me too.
we should do the long version next time.
Yeah, for sure. You know what we should do? We should just do like a several-day workshop where we just record the whole thing. I mean, we've definitely got at least 2 or 3 days of moaning in us each.
God.
Surely.
I mean, that's just the warm-up, isn't it?
Grumpy old men, property style.
We do need to defend the agents as well. We can't, like we said earlier, there's some really, really good agents.
There are
some brilliant people out there.
They'll listen to us and go, tell us something we don't know, and that's brilliant.
Yeah.
The only message I've got for them is keep doing what you're doing. It's about all about to come your way again.
Yeah, exactly.
Massively. Be brave. That's the message I want to give to the industry. It's the message I give to my candidates. It's the message I give to my clients. Be brave and be yourself. And whilst it might sound like
it's fearful.
Yeah, it might sound like a really cheesy slogan, but genuinely, be yourself, and people, the people that want to do business with you will find you and do business with you, particularly if you show your personality and who you are. Be confident in your service, be confident in your convictions, take pride in what you do, and the business will follow.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, totally agree with that. Great. Thank you, gents.
I've really enjoyed this. I'm loving the suggestion, and it's not let me down. But I don't know about you guys, but I think we all need to go and get something to eat, and I need to go and have a cup of tea with 2 sugars.
I'm trying to find a diet myself.
Guys, I really hope you've enjoyed the show. I've certainly enjoyed talking to you. To the listeners listening out there, wherever you are, I hope you've enjoyed this. There's a lot of really juicy content here. Obviously, the guys are always available. I'll put their contact details below in the description, and I'll tag them in this as well. If you don't already, be sure to follow them at very least on LinkedIn, if not on other social media platforms as well, as they're often sharing really useful little bits of content. It's not, a lot of it is aimed at that top 10%. It's the people that want to embrace change. So if you are a business owner, you are a property professional listening to this who wants to take your business or career to the next level, you can do a lot worse than listening to these 2 chaps.
Keep your eyes out for the FIA as well. It's going to make a dent.
Very much so.
It's very kind.
Very much so.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, you are more than welcome. Thank you so much, gents. You're listening to Number One Property Group. Interviews with Phil Pelucha.